a speaking person, you know, and he's like, when you speak, make sure somebody's recording it. And I was like, I have never remembered to do that. So, you know, it's all good. So, yes. Hi, I'm Miss Molly, also known as the Educators Health Coach. And when I say educators, I mean anybody involved in school system, the bus driver, the custodians, the lunchroom ladies, the special ed directors, like you name it. It takes everybody to educate the children, the parents, the aunts, uncles, the cousins. It takes everybody, right? So what happens as a teacher is in the classroom, you have all these people in front of you and they're counting on you to come in and have all this energy and, hey, we're gonna learn something really fun and really cool. But they really mostly stroll in like, where's my coffee? Oh my God. Like they're stressed. They are tired. They are overworked, overwhelmed, overweight, overmedicated. They are over it. And I was over it. And about 2004, I go to the doctor and I'm like, something's wrong. And a similar story in a sense to what you just heard from Katie was, blood work's fine, everything's fine, blood work's normal. Keep in mind now I'm like about 42-ish at the time, so I'm thinking, okay, she's female, 40-something, probably a little off, time to get some meds. I'm like, but I'm not depressed. I mean, do I look depressed? And so they try to give me medicine, and one pill put me in the hospital long enough to get another medicine to take me off that medicine because I was not depressed. And that's what Zoloft will do if you don't need it. So then I'm like crying, like scared out of my mind, like, no, I'm not going to the hospital. What if they give me something else I have a reaction to, right? So I'm freaking out. And the lady, I come in, she's like, no, honey, you're gonna have to have this. Your heart rate's 164, you gotta have it. It was, I think it was like Benadryl or something, I don't even know, but I survived that only to say, I told you so. So, 9-10 months go by, and if you know me or don't, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I raised 3 very big boys, very athletic, all 3. I was an athlete, back a couple years ago, or 20 or 30 or so years ago. And so, I knew I was in good shape. I was still coaching cheerleading. I was still riding my horses. I was running 3 boys around day in, day out. It was busy. It was a busy, busy girl. And I was teaching, by the way. Special ed teacher since sometime like in the 80s, like for a while. So I knew I was in good shape. So why did it hurt and burn? Why were my muscles burning going up a flight of stairs? That made no sense to me. I couldn't, like just a cap on a toothpaste, I couldn't even twist the cap on the toothpaste. That really
no worries.
Yes. I'll leave it there. It was mine anyway.
Uh-oh.
But just to open a bottle, I couldn't even do that. I could not open my own water bottles. Like my fingers were that weak. It got to the point where just stepping out of bed, my feet hurt, and it was taking like an hour just to get moving. It was like work out the aches and the stiffness. Every muscle, every joint was stiff and achy, and I see the heads nod. You know what I'm talking about, right? You look down at your hands, and you're like, I got my grandmother's hands, but I'm 40. Like, what the heck? So I knew something was wrong. My hair was falling out, and yes, it's white now, but I used to have this really amazing, giant, big, fat head of dark, curly hair. And so obviously something was wrong, but the blood work was normal. So it was Thanksgiving break, and I was actually visiting some friends in North Carolina, and I get the famous phone call, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he's super sweet and I love him, but he was just dead on wrong. And he calls me and he's like, hey, Molly, so we got your results back of your MRI of your neck, because I did have some arthritis, and my lovely Dr. Leslie takes care of my neck, which she knows is, as they call it, jacked up. It's a medical term, in case you didn't know that.
It's definitely a medical term.
Yes, you're jacked up. I know. I was an athlete, I told you, like, for real. So he's like, so yeah, I need to see you right away. Well, I'm in North Carolina. So suddenly now it's an emergency, right? Because remember, it was 9 to 10 months leading up to this. well, the MRI showed a nodule on your thyroid. And I'm thinking, I'm sure it did. Okay, so I'm being polite, because I'm polite. I think these things. I think a lot of things I don't say. So I go in and I see him. He is a nice guy, whatever. It's not his fault what the blood work said, right? He was a general practitioner. When I got to see the endocrinologist, who had different... Are you serious? There goes $2,000 worth of stuff. Anybody need a health coach? The endocrinologist is like, this blood work is not normal, and that nodule is not normal, and I'm sorry that you just had to go through this, because at that point now I had gave up my job at the middle school. I was working at the middle school that year, self-contained class of kids with behavior disorders. The teacher can't have more behavior disorders than the kids. It doesn't work. So I resigned mid-year, which is, if you know anything about education, that is like, you just don't do it. You just don't, like, period, unless you are dying. So literally I thought I was dying. And I didn't really think I was dying. I actually used those words and said, look, I don't think I'm dying, but I feel like it. I can't move. It takes 2 hours just to get going every day. So long story short, I lost half my thyroid in surgery. So I am thankful that the endocrinologist found the issue and did the surgery. Here's the part nobody told me. They said you're going to be on medicine the rest of your life. Didn't need to be. Actually didn't need to be on medicine at all. What the medicine did do is take you to a point where you had felt so horrible that you feel a little better, and you're like, oh, thank goodness, right? But it doesn't take you all the way. You still have symptoms. You still have problems with your metabolism being all now jacked up. That medicine isn't a cure. It's just going to help knock the edge off. No one ever told me how to take it the rest of the way. And so by 2010, 2011-ish, I'm at the point where I'm having 4 or 5 migraines a week. And by 2011, I'm no longer teaching again. You can't. I mean, you have a migraine 5-6 days a week sometimes. And again, you're just not getting all the answers. So I enrolled in a course through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and became certified as a health coach. And I learned right away about something called Bio-Individuality, which is why I had a major response, bad reaction to Zoloft. Why I have 3 negative pregnancy tests and have 3 giant, huge, big boys running out of town. I'm your 1 in a million, where the doctor came and sat down in the waiting room and goes, so you know how on the label it says 1 in a million could have this? That's me. So there's nothing you can tell me that I won't believe you if you say, look, I know this shouldn't be, but here's what's going on. So that's why that's where I think my strength is in understanding that the blood work doesn't always tell the story. The patient tells the story. You are the doctor of tomorrow. You are the doctor of tomorrow, because you know your body better than anybody does. If you don't speak up and say, I don't care what the blood work says, I feel like crap, figure it out, something's up. If you feel like something's up, something's up. Plain and simple, don't give up. My brother, on the other hand, it's just water. My brother, on the other hand, Stephen, he came to my son's wedding in October of 2015, and he just wasn't acting himself, which he's usually a pretty funny guy. He was just very low key, and I'm like, what's up with you? He's like, oh, I've had bronchitis. Oh, okay. So I didn't think too much about it. Never heard any more about it. December that year, I get a call. He's in the hospital. Sorry, I'm gonna probably make myself cry. Just ignore me. It's okay, really. He's in the hospital. He insisted, doctor of tomorrow, he insisted he doesn't have bronchitis for 3 months and for 3 rounds of antibiotic. There's something is wrong. Now, he was every bit of an extra 75 to 100 pounds overweight. He's 49 years old. Wouldn't you do an EKG or something? I mean, a middle-aged man who's that overweight and has bronchitis for 3 months. Like, he had to go in and tell them something's up. He was in serious major congestive heart failure, 3 valves that needed to be replaced, and a quadruple bypass. But he was too sick, so they couldn't do the surgery. So they spent 2 weeks in the hospital to get to a point where they could do the surgery, which then lasted for 9 hours, at which point they had to close him up because there's medical reasons you can only have your heart laid open for just so long, you know, because now it becomes more of a stress than it does a help. So they closed him up, and he made it home. January 11th, he had his 50th birthday, and on January 29th, he died. What they didn't tell him was, you can't be on oxycodone for year after year after year after year for a bad back. You can't be a middle-aged man being 100 pounds overweight. You need to change your diet. That sweet tea doesn't count as water. Nobody told him. Nobody told him. Instead, they gave him an antibiotic for 3 months and sent him home. Now, he has some responsibility to play in that, right? Because, I mean, listen, the truth of the matter is he knew he was 100 pounds overweight. He knew he probably shouldn't be living on oxycodone. But doctors were giving it to him. That's why I'm telling you, you are the doctor of tomorrow. There is a place for medicine. I still take my thyroid medicine, but guess what I had to do today? Call my doctor and say, we need to lower my thyroid medicine. I am now a product of my product. I'm going to tell you what my product is. And I am now on the lowest dose of thyroid medicine I've ever been on since they removed half my thyroid. And the next step is to be off of it completely. So you can heal your thyroid. You do not have to be on medicine forever. It served me really, really well. Like that first year, can I just tell you, I was jumping up and down like, oh my God, I got my life back. But then I was like, I never quite felt like myself, you know? Like something still was not quite right. But I thought, and they were telling me this is just the new normal. And I thought, okay, well, what do I know? I'm not a doctor. So here's what I want to say is, this feels very somber, sooner or later, your health will be your top priority. Sooner in prevention, and that's what I'm here for tonight. Later in recovery, I did recover, my baby brother didn't. Don't be like him. Call me sooner. Call Dr. Leslie sooner. Call Katie sooner. Do your own research. See my lovely, beautiful Christine over here for massage. We work as a team. It's a team approach, right? I see both of these ladies. I haven't been recently. But I need to. My shoulder's killing me. But like when I went to see Christina, I was like, oh, my shoulder's killing me. I use this stuff. It's called Deep Blue. And she's like, oh, let me see that because my neck's killing me. I was like, go see Dr. Leslie. So like it's sharing information, right? So we have to share information. And like what Katie's saying with the herbs, I would see Tina down at Sage Moon and she would fix me up concoctions and I was trying to drink the tea, but I really wasn't that obedient about it. And so I found essential oils can work the same way in a lot of cases. And I'm not saying replace one with the other, like go cold turkey. Just like there's a place for medicine, there is. There's a place for herbs, there's a place for essential oils. For me, because I want to do what I need to do, I can pour a drop of lemon in my water and I can detox my liver that way. Because to stand there and like do all my lemon juice, which I will do sometimes, you know, I might not be as obedient. So I use herbs and I use oils, but I use a lot of essential oils because one drop of oil is like drinking 26 cups of tea in some cases, depending upon what you're doing. So there's a place for everything, but you have to figure out what works for you. So in saying that, Dr. Leslie asked me to talk a little bit about my program. So I do a few different things, but what has healed my thyroid is my Metabolic Reset. And Metabolic Reset, it takes up a binder. You get this beautiful binder. But the Metabolic Reset, essentially, I'm just kind of give you the framework of what that is. But I brought in cards so that you can read a little bit about more, my contact information. And I have I'll natural, toxic-free, we're calling it a boutique now because of being fancy downtown, where you can get products. And I brought just some examples. You can buy them if you want them, but this way you can kind of see what a few of the items that I have. But the purpose of the store was twofold. One was, if people are coming to see me and they need help and they need things, you know, it's convenient, because people are more compliant when things are convenient. Which is why I do the oils. And then to have some things at the shop. And so a lot of times, you know, I see a lot of tourists, and they come for the weekend and they forgot something. They forgot their shampoo or their toothpaste or their deodorant or their supplements or whatever the case may be. So I have a little bit of each, you know, not a ton, and I only use brands that I've used personally. So like I carry doTERRA, or I carry Norwex, for example, or, you know, some things like that. But I also have somebody that private labels a bunch of things for me as well, so I know exactly what's in them. There are no fillers, nothing synthetic. The joke is, you can eat it, your dog can lick it, the kids, it's not going to hurt you. I wouldn't, it probably won't taste very good, but literally everything is non-toxic. So the reset, the metabolic reset, the whole point is to get your body working the way it's supposed to, right? We were born with this perfect body. It was built, sort of perfect. Kind of, sort of. It was meant to work perfectly. But your body's just like a fancy car. If you took a Ferrari over to Roy's and put in regular gasoline, you'll make it to Winchester, but it's gonna spit and sputter the whole way there. Like, kind of like me taking an hour or two to get up and moving, you know. I got up and moving and I could get through the day, but it didn't feel great. You have to put good fuel in this good machine. This machine was built properly, but if we're not fueling it properly, we're running it down. And we end up with thyroid disease, or we end up with heart disease, or diabetes, or any number of things. Like my husband, who thinks you can drink sweet tea every day and not get a kidney stone, he's wrong, you get kidney stones. So what the reset does, literally, is the name. We reset your whole metabolic system. The first 6 weeks we call the release phase, and what we're releasing are toxins, inflammation, and a whole bunch of weight if you have the weight to lose. And if you don't, we adjust, and that's where the Bio-Individuality comes in, because I work with each person individually. I have somebody right now that wants to lose 120 pounds. I have another person who's 5'5" that weighs 122. She doesn't want to lose an ounce, you know. So that's where we make those adjustments, and why it's important to have a health coach. And so I'm a certified health coach in my new life. I'm still a teacher, I think, because I do small groups every week. You become part of a small group. We meet every Monday night via Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you live, you still get the support. The group time is probably the most beneficial of anything, because when you join the reset, you become a lifelong member. The reason is because it's not a one and done. It's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And so you're accepting a new lifestyle, one in which you don't drink sweet tea every single day. Now, do you drink sweet tea sometimes? Yeah, if you choose to. It's all about choices, and we learn how those choices are going to impact us. So for the first 6 weeks, I ask, can you commit to 6 weeks of being very, very strict? And I'm going to give you a plan. I'm going to give you an eating plan. I'm going to give you an entire recipe book. You'll have amazing recipes. Like, they're great. They're all wonderful. I give you a daily journal, and I just ask that you keep in touch. Message me, call me, come to the group for 6 weeks. Who thinks they could do something for 6 weeks? If you just had to do it just 6 weeks. 6 weeks is tolerable, right? Nobody said this is the way you do your whole life, because that's insane. Like that can't work. The second 6 weeks, we work on reintegrating first thing we reintegrate are healthy fats, because we need them. Your brain needs healthy fats. You need fat because that's what your body needs to use as energy for fuel. So if anybody is overweight and says they're exhausted and tired, there's a problem. You can't have stored energy and be tired at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. It's like having gas in the car but that doesn't want to run. It's not being used properly, right? So the fuel isn't getting to where it needs to go because you have a metabolic dysfunction. So that's what the reset does. My surprise, my migraines went away. 100% gone. I literally just refilled a prescription for the first time in 6 months just to have it in the house, because what if? But I mean, I haven't needed them. And remember, prior, I could have been out on disability, literally, but in my head I was like, I'm not a disabled person, like this didn't make any sense. So, you know, thankfully I kept pushing through that. So the second 6 weeks, the lifestyle part, we learn to recognize what we eat and what we do and how it affects your body. Like, can you stay up until midnight and still feel okay the next day, or do you feel like crap? Well, getting to bed at 10, so we rise and set with the sun, and we learn about that, and we have 10 learning modules. So for 10 weeks, when you're coming to the Monday meetings, you're learning about sleep cycles and oh gosh, I don't even know what all we're learning about. The benefits of what are we learning about? We're learning about brain fog. So anybody ever experienced some brain fog? Oh Lord, I'm telling you.
You're only week 4, it's okay.
I know, right? The benefits of medicinal mushrooms, like I am a huge proponent of organo coffee and tea, and they have reishi mushroom spores in it, and how that can be a huge benefit. We learn about castor oil packs and how to get rid of constipation naturally, and why are you constipated anyway? Did you ever wonder? So we talk about poop. We talk about poop a lot. We talk about sleep. Right? Yeah, you know I'm special. I am special.
Special ed.
All the way. So the group is great. My original, very first person that walked in my store on July 25th, her name was Laura, and she is now down 50 pounds. She had a heart attack in April.
Wow.
She had open heart surgery that then failed by June. She had a second open heart surgery. She survived it, and on June, I know, right? July 25th, she walked in my store and she's like, wow, it smells good in here. And I was like, come on in and breathe. Like literally, I will tell you, come on in and breathe. And she's like, man, I just feel better walking in here. Now I know why I'm here. She came from DC. She did not know why she was coming to Berkeley Springs, but she just felt the need to get away from all that, you know? And she just looked at me and she's like, who are you? I was like, I'm Molly. She goes, you're my Molly now. And then we made an appointment the next day and we got her on the program. She's down 50 pounds. All of her labs are now normal. It's huge. Like I wish I could show you all of her labs. Phil joined about 8 weeks ago. He was on 2 diabetes medicines, has been for I don't even know how long, neck pain, back pain. He was very overweight, and his wife had back pain as well, and she was just like, we can't do this anymore. Ryan, the son, he was like choking, having some kind of funny responses to some foods, and then the daughter Lauren, she's having some kidney things going on, and she's only 23, and they're like, something's up, we've got to make a change. So the whole family got on board, which is phenomenal. Yeah, you saw them. Yeah. They're just like, some of them I call my rock star resetters, but Phil is now, after 8 weeks, he's down 47 pounds and he's off of diabetes medicine. He is considered no longer diabetic. It can happen. So the reset is not for a specific purpose other than to reset your body and get it where it needs to be, where you need it to be. I'm a product of my product. And now I got on the scale and I was like, oh, that's a little bit low for a grown person. So that's why I called the doctor and I was like, I think it's time to lower my thyroid medicine. I'm thinking that I don't need it anymore, you know, because like that's an indication. So we use weight, we do weigh as an indicator of change, not because anyone, you or I, have decided everybody should weigh this amount, because that's false. That's just false. Your body knows where it needs to be. Your body's going to get where it needs to be if you give it the right fuel. So I'm here to help you. That's what I do. And that's one thing I do. The other, I have lots of different things going on that for relaxation, for stress. Like I said, I primarily, my goal, my mission, I say it's sort of a joke with one of my mentors. He's like, Miss Molly, the educator's health coach is on a big, hairy, bodacious mission to change the culture of America. One teacher at a time, thereby one kid at a time, and therefore the whole entire country. Because imagine, if you will, that Morgan County Schools invited me down, which they did, so good for them, to do a presentation for their guidance counselors who were stressed out. How are they going to help the kids if they're stressed out? They can't take care of themselves, right? So we came in and we had like a little de-stress day, and we did, I have a Brain Tap app, which is a really cool biohack. It's brain entrainment, which retrains the brain from a stress response. I use it for sleep. It's amazing. Stress, worry. Professional athletes use it before they do any kind of match for focus. A couple of the things that you'll notice on the reset, like Paula, you all know Paula Osborne, her husband was the Presbyterian pastor. She's the tennis coach here in town. She got the tennis association going. Paula is a product of the reset. Paula's ADD at 61 years old is gone for the first time in her life.
Wow.
Paula called me one night, or she got on the call one night. We were dying laughing. She's like, I have to say something. I was like, what? She's like, you guys, I just vacuumed my whole house. And we're like, okay. She's like, no, you don't understand. I don't like to vacuum. And I never even vacuum more than just one room. I just vacuumed my whole house. Like, hello. So things like that. Your energy will increase. Your sleep will become regulated. Your diabetes will become regulated. Your blood pressure will become regulated. Your husband will get away from drinking sweet tea every day, maybe once a week. Things happen. Fibroids go away. Katie, another resetter, another
Really
go
good
ahead,
story.
Right? Katie's story will blow your mind too. Katie's a gorgeous, beautiful 39-year-old who said, I need to make some changes before my 40th birthday. I'm like, okay, what are we going to work on? Well, I would like to be able to not have to call out sick at work every month. I have had to for the last 6 years because my periods are so bad. The doctor told me I needed to have a hysterectomy. She said, okay, bye. Thankfully, she said bye, because, what if you don't know better? And she's thinking, this is crazy. And she came to me and we did the reset. She lost 20 pounds, which she didn't expect to do, but she's like, so excited. She's like, look, I weigh the same as my license. And one of her friends was like, Katie, your face looks like you. Like, she wasn't big, though. If you were to see her, you would never in a million years think that she had any weight to lose. That wasn't the thing. She didn't call in sick to work her very first month on the reset. She has not had to call in sick since then. So she's killing it. She's fabulous. But the great thing about Katie was this, and she's not the only one. When she came in, she was just like beside herself. She was really stressed out and she was very emotional, and she's like, but I have a wedding next weekend. What am I gonna do? I gotta go to this wedding and I can't be on this diet. And I'm like, I don't diet, that's a 4-letter word. I use other 4-letter words, but not that one. I don't like it. So I was like, perfect time to start when things are tough. Don't start a new eating plan when it's easy, because anybody can do it when it's easy. Do it when it's tough. Okay. So we had a plan, and the plan was follow the program as best you can and make a decision that you're going to do these things when you're there. She decided she was going to have a drink. She did. She was going to decide she was going to have a piece of cake. So she did. And the rest of the time, she followed the program. And guess what? When she got back from the weekend, she had lost 8 pounds her first week. Second week, she was going to go on a hike. It was going to be a 10-mile hike. She didn't even think she could do 10 miles, but she was going to go on the hike, right? I have chills. So we're thinking, what are we going to do? Because we eliminate fats for the first 6 weeks. Don't panic though. First you store up a bunch of fat, and then you cut back on fat. So you get to binge first. So we made a plan that she was going to have an extra banana and a handful of almonds because you don't want to put your body in a stress response. Exercise is actually a stress response. So during the reset, we do gentle movement. We go to yoga, or we do stretches, Pilates, walks, but not strenuous exercise, because it's rest, recovery, restore, release in the first 6 weeks. She went on that hike and she called me. She's like, oh my God. My friends were like, how are you doing this? What are you doing? We need to know what you're doing. She made the whole hike, no problem. She was able to stick with the program the whole entire way, had an amazing time. Life was grand. So that's what we do. And if I don't hear from you, I get concerned. I'm like, oh crap, something's wrong. They're not doing the program. What's going on? Where are you? Why aren't you calling me? I have people send me pictures of their food at night because they're like, look what I'm eating, look what I made, and stuff like that. So I always tell everybody, if I don't hear from you, that's when I get worried. So it's unlimited messaging for the 12 weeks. And then I know, right, can you imagine? Yes, I know my husband's like, seriously, you working again? But it's for real. It's what I do because you need the support. It's tough. And when you get into the swing of things and you start to see what you're fueling your body with and how it impacts you, then you start to make those adjustments and you learn how to make those adjustments on your own, and that's what I help you to do. So, any questions?